minutes remaining. Double down. Fight until there's nothing left.
Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaslayers, and in this video, we're going to discuss and review how the Jedi Last Hope meta strikes back, giving rise to the Old Republic. Yes, my friends, the Star Wars puns are real, and you can tell that I am super excited for this brand new Star Wars movie coming out this weekend. But as far as the Last Hope sidearm goes, it's an old meta that just might become the new meta. Figuring this out with random rolls back on this beautiful beast, we are going to analyze the weapon's outstanding and surprising TTK stats, base stats, range, bullet magnetism, shot rhythm, and all that kind of jazz. But first you have to know how to get your hands on one of them. Know that the Last Hope is a world drop, meaning that it can drop from prime engrams, legendary engrams, or even from defeating a simple dreg. But the way in which I farmed this colossal hitting monster was by going to Master Rahool and exchanging 25 legendary shards for legendary engrams. This is actually how I farmed for my godly old-fashioned as well, but in the process of spending over 7,000 legendary shards to get that monster, one of these so sleek and sexy looking Last Hopes dropped with a roll that's going to make enemy guardians a little bit salty. To find out as to exactly what my godly Last Hope roll is that will defeat the Empire and bring back the Jedi, the only thing left to do is to eviscerate the notification button, and let's jump right into the video. Of all the Star Wars characters that can use the Force, whether it be Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, Yoda, or maybe even Emperor Palpatine, it's time to find out as to which one of them truly is going to be the Last Hope. And the role that I'm referring to is the godly one that you guys can see right there on screen. It's got multi-kill clip, rangefinder, high caliber rounds, control SAS, is an adaptive frame weapon, has a reload masterwork, and a counterbalance mod. The reason why I love this role so very much is because it has two vital aspects to it. One is overall lethality, and two is overall consistency. The way in which it has that first part lethality is of course via multi-kill clip. As soon as I happen to get one kill, I can then reload and get more damage buffs that are going to increase the more times that I happen to get a kill, or rather multiple kills, and then reload. Now in order to get that first kill more consistently, I then got rangefinder, which is then of course going to allow it to damage more guardians at longer distances, and also high caliber rounds, which is going to allow for a crazy amount of flinch, especially because these things are 3-burst sidearm, allowing it to fire a ton of bullets in a very short amount of time. Lastly, I then got that reload masterwork to help proc kill clip a little teeny tiny bit better, but more important than this is counterbalance. And the reason why I want to have that counterbalance mod on this is because I want this thing's recoil to be vertical and vertical and vertical, and that's it, nothing else. That mod specifically is really going to come in handy later on in the video, and you'll understand why in just a few minutes. But for right now that you guys kind of understand as to why this thing is a god roll, what I want to do next is I want to look at the weapon's optimal TTK stats for both the base values and of course multi-kill clip times 1 times 2 and potentially times 3. Taking one teeny tiny step back, let's just look at the weapon's base TTK stats first. And so by now, you've probably already realized that this thing's then doing 33 points of damage for a crit and 20 points of damage for a body. Now if we were looking at solely body shots and body shots alone, it's then going to take 10 body shots, which is going to associate to a 1.1 second body shot TTK. In all honesty, that's not too shabby and is actually pretty darn freaking good, considering the fact that a Duke has an optimal time to kill at 1.07 seconds, and also a service revolver has one that's at 1 second on the dot. However, this is not where the Last Hope truly shines, as its optimal time to kill is just crazy and out of this world and so astounding that not even Darth Vader can block these bullets coming towards his face, because this thing can then have an optimal TTK at 0.5 seconds, only needing 6 critical headshots. Yes, my friends, you heard me right, I said 0.5 seconds, which is half a second flat, and that right there is one of the fastest base time to kills out of any other weapon in the entire game. What you guys are seeing right there on screen is everything that I've just said, but just once again for the weapon's base TTK stats. And the thing that I want to note here is that all my computations are done in a frame-by-frame analysis, which is why you happen to see the rate of fire be slightly different than what's in the game at 490.91 instead of 491, but also note that all these computations were done with a Guardian at 9 resilience or tier 9 resilience, aka 198 points of health. Now if you guys thought that was good, hold on and take your seats because we're about to go into the light speed, baby. And that's because this thing is then going to turn from an apprentice, aka a Padawan, into a Jedi Master via having multi-kill clip times 1 and multi-kill clip times 2. When multi-kill clip times 1 is procced, meaning only 1 kill and then reloading. This thing's then going to do 38 points of damage for a crit and 24 points of damage for a body. Looking solely at body shots and body shots alone, it's then going to require 8 body shots, which is then going to associate to a 0.8 second body shot DTK. That within itself is pretty darn amazing, but it gets even better, because with this thing's optimal time to kill, it only needs 5 crits, and thus is going to associate to a 0.43 second optimal time to kill. Yes, my friends, you heard me right, I said a 0.43 second optimal time to kill. But the main difference between multi-kill clip times 1 and multi-kill clip times 2 is that with multi-kill clip times 2, the damage output is going to be increased even more so to 43 per crit and 27 per body. Despite that, when multi-kill clip times 2 is active, it's actually going to have the exact same optimal and body shot time to kills respectively for multi-kill clip times 1, but the underlying difference here is that multi-kill clip times 2 can do this a little bit easier and at higher resiliences, whereas multi-kill clip times 1 can't. To really visualize everything that I've just said, here's a fantastic chart that we can see right there on screen. Upon inspecting this, I want you to note that with multi-kill clip times 1, those computations were done with a Guardian at 4 resilience or tier 4 resilience, aka 190 points of health, but the calculations for multi-kill clip times 2 was done with a Guardian at 9 resilience or tier 9 resilience, aka 198 points of health. In essence, they can still both have that astronomical and crazy out of this world optimal time to kill at 0.43 seconds, but one needs 5 crits, whereas one needs 4 crits in one body to still obtain these exact same values. Now just to kind of put these values of 0.5 seconds and 0.43 seconds into perspective, I want you to know that our last word has an optimal time to kill at 0.53 seconds, whereas the spare ration says 1 at 0.8 seconds. Following this is the Recluse, and the Recluse with Master of Arms prot has an optimal time to kill at 0.47 seconds, whereas a 2-tapping kill with Orchid has 1 at 0.43 seconds yet again. This then means to you that the Last Hope's base time to kill at 0.5 seconds is better than that of a Last Word and its spare rations by far. But in association with this, when it happens to have multi-kill clip times 1 or multi-kill clip times 2 prot, it's then going to be faster than that of the Recluse with Master of Arms, and a 2-tapping kill with Orchid is right on par with it. I don't know about you, but that right there is the definition of absolute insanity, and this is the reason why I truly do believe that the Last Hope is going to become the new meta and defeat the Empire, returning the Old Republic. Adjusting gears ever so slightly, what you guys have to understand is that if you really want this thing to get that crazy optimal time to kill at 0.5 seconds on a very frequent basis, what you have to do is land those crits and nothing but crits. So in order to help you understand this, we gotta see is the weapon's base stats to understand its shot rhythm. As you guys can see from right there on screen, the weapon's base range stat isn't too shabby at 46 out of 100, but its stability, handling, aim assistance, and recoil direction are all crazy out of this world high by having values at 92, 65, 75, and 100 out of 100 for all those things that I just mentioned. Now if we're talking about shot rhythm, the weapon's stability stat at 92, its aim assistance stat at 75, and its recoil direction stat at over 100 has to be very, very high, and luckily for us, we have exactly this. And this is why the Last Hope really does get that optimal time to kill at 0.5 seconds almost on a very regular basis. Furthermore, we can also incorporate the weapon's bounce intensity, which is not only vertical, but it's only at 7, and that means that from bullet to bullet to bullets, its overall vertical recoil is going to be just that, and it's going to be very, very minute. But to see this a little bit better, what I want to do next is when I go into a private match, is then we can really see the weapon's recoil direction and also somewhat of its bloom factor. So here we are in private matches, and I'm shooting against this wall, pretty much having no control whatsoever, and you can tell that it's going to be just vertical and vertical alone for its overall recoil control. Secondly, I'm doing this exact same thing but hip firing, and you can tell that once again it's vertical, but as I play this one more time in slow motion and zoom in, what I want you to focus on is the weapon's overall reticle. You'll notice that the weapon's hit mark sights are barely going outside of its hit mark reticle for the circle, and this then means to you that the weapon's overall bloom factor is going to be significantly lower even if you happen to fire and spam the entire magazine. This then means that if you happen to have multi-kill clip, it's going to be extremely easy to still get those 2 kills and possibly even 3 kills, no problem whatsoever. But the main reason why I didn't include the weapon's time to kill stats for multi-kill clip times 3 was because in all honesty, I almost never and truly never procced multi-kill clip times 3. Realistically, is that ever going to happen? Probably not so much, But as far as multi-kill clip times 1 and multi-kill clip times 2 goes, those things I procced on a very consistent basis. And so obviously that then means that this was possible due to this very low bloom factor. Now what some of you don't understand about multi-kill clip already is that it actually has no type of cooldown. And this then means that it's going to be very effective for you to literally have a damage buff that could potentially give us that 0.43 second optimal TTK from kill to kill to kill and have it do so almost indefinitely. Now what I just described is obviously theoretical. Is that really going to happen? No, it's probably not. But something that's more realistic is you might have it active for say 5, 6, and potentially even 10 seconds as a whole. And when you put it into that kind of perspective, your mind is blown. Bada bing, bada boom, and poof, just like that, enemy guardians are gone. Now to kind of understand as to what types of range engagements that this can be done in, what I wanted to do is test the weapon's effective range at 16-17 meters. Going directly into that private match and pulling out my Darcy, I measured 16 meters. And with this, the Last Hope is then doing 33 per crit, as we would expect, but only going back just 1 more meter to 17 meters, the Last Hope then does 32 per crit, meaning that this particular Last Hope has an effective range at 16 meters. Before we go any further, I want you to recall that I happen to have rangefinder, and so this is then going to increase the weapon's overall effective range significantly. And so if you don't happen to have this perk, then your range is going to be a little bit lower, and so it might be somewhere around say 13-14 meters, but even so, that just means that these types of ranges are going to vary from roll to roll to roll, and so be sure to test yours out in a private match to kind of see as to what effective range that your roll might have. Following along this exact same logic and reasoning, the very next thing that I wanted to test was bullet magnetism, and so I'm doing this once again in private matches at 10 and 15 meters respectively. At 10 meters, the Last Hope has a despicable bullet magnetism on the right side of the head. On the top side of the head, it's detestable just the same, and it leaves a ton to be desired. Going back 5 meters to 15 meters, here is where we see a substantial difference on both the right side of the head and on the top side of the head. But not quite as much as if Yoda was to use the Force and make all those bullets land, but even so, I'm still missing by a moderate margin at medium distances, yet in close range distances, that is certainly not the case, so what's the main takeaway from this? In close range proximities, this Last Hope has to land its shots and make them be crits every single time. And this is why I want you to have that counterbalance mod on this thing to increase the weapon's consistency that much more frequently in these close range engagements. On the other hand, when you go into the weapon's medium distances, like say 15 or 17 meters, this is when the weapon's leniency gets much better, and you can still miss by a medium amount and potentially have those bullets still land as crits, but there's actually a way in which we can increase this weapon's consistency more regularly, and that's by the weapon's perks. What perks, you ask? Well, my friends, it doesn't matter if you're a Sith Lord or a Jedi, because what we're looking for here is some perks in that second, third, and fourth column of perks, and you guys can see all those right there on screen. I'll come back to the first column of perks in just a little bit, and for right now we're not going to worry about that, but as far as the second column of perks go, here we happen to have high caliber rounds, ricochet rounds, flare magwell, and light mag. Ensuing this is that third column, and that's then Feeding Frenzy, Quick Draw, and Rangefinder, followed by the last column of perks, and that's going to be multi-kill clip, rampage, zen moment, and tap the trigger. And seeing that, there are a couple of roles that I really want you guys to focus in on and be on the hunt for, especially when it comes to the weapon's high lethality and consistency factors. Now you already know one lethal and consistency combination role, which is the one that you've been seeing for this entire game footage so far, and that's multi-kill clip, rangefinder, and high caliber rounds. But there is a second lethality role, and you can see that right there on screen. It's got multi-kill clip, feeding frenzy, high caliber rounds, and quick draw SAS. The logic and reasoning behind this high lethality role is that it's got feeding frenzy, and that's then going to allow the weapon to get a very fast reload speed, regardless of whether or not that kill is a critical headshot or a body shot, it's not going to matter. Furthermore, it's also then got high caliber rounds, and this is then going to increase the weapon's overall flinch factor while at the same time increasing range. And this then means to you that it's then going to have a better chance to land more of your bullets, while the enemy guardians missing more of their bullets, and that's a wonderful thing. Lastly, it's then got multi-kill clip, and that's of course then going to increase the weapon's lethality factors significantly. Now I realize that some guardians out there don't want a lethality roll at all, and rather what you want to have is a consistency based roll, and something like that might be what you see right there on screen, and it consists of tap the trigger, rangefinder, ricochet rounds, and control SAS. The reason why I love this roll so much is because with tap the trigger, it's actually going to increase the weapon's overall effectiveness literally every single time that you pull a trigger. and simultaneously, if you're aiming down at sights, that's when you're also going to proc rangefinder and increase the weapon's effective range even more so. Next up is ricochet rounds in the control SAS sight. And the reason why I like these two things is because ricochet rounds is not only going to increase the weapon's effective range by 5, but it's also going to increase the weapon's stability by plus 10. And the same thing is also true for the control SAS sight, as it's then going to increase the weapon's handling by plus 10, but simultaneously the weapon's stability stat once again by 10. And hearing that, you guys can really see as to why that this type of consistency-based role or lethality role is going to be outstanding and marvelous in so many ways that you literally just can't go wrong. But are these the only two god rolls for this thing? No, they definitely aren't. Now, depending upon how much metachlorian that you have in your bloodstream, that's then going to determine as whether or not you become a Jedi or a Sith Lord. And so how you use this last hope to use the Force is entirely up to you, and I can't wait to see as to exactly how it's going to play out. Lastly, be sure to watch the newest, check the latest, and share, comment, like on social media because you are the greatest. That's pretty much all I've got for you as of right now, Diaslayers. As always, GG, TNT.